Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to everyone from across the world. Welcome to the session on Diet for the Mind with Mr. A.S. Sridharan. So, a little about this session. So, what are the right ingredients and perfect recipe for a balanced, effective mind that delivers success that is enjoyable and inclusive? To know all of this, you have to be with us for the entire session. And let me introduce you to our speaker today. Mr. Sridharan is a New Age philosopher and a self management expert. He has spent over 20 years in the study and research of ancient wisdom and its practical application in the modern world. His focus has been to help individuals to live life to their full potential, experiencing peace and prosperity. Sridharan has conducted over 7,500 lectures, seminars, workshops, etc., in various parts of the world for a diverse audience. The topics for these lectures are either general subjects or is customized based on the audience. Sridharan is the senior disciple of Swami Parthasarathy. He has completed the 3-year residential course at the Vedanta Academy, India, and has dedicated his life to help people improve their quality of living through Vedanta and the ancient wisdom. So I would now like to introduce Mr. S.A. Sridharan. Over to you, sir.
Hello. Am I live, Pallavi? Am I?
Hello?
Hello. Looks like I went alive.
Sir, you are live now.
Oh, hi. There seems to be some mistake. I'm supposed to be in another session. Looks like the software picked up Sridhar instead of Sridharan. Hello. Who is around? Are you guys? Hello. Hi. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. In any case, since I'm here, my name is Sridhar, not Sridharan. And I do happen to know Sridharan quite well. And very interesting story. About, I think about 12 or 13 years ago, I got vexed up with my life, right? I was almost broke, bankrupt, and stressed out, no sleep, uh, and decided to leave this world. Not for real, but leave the material world and go to Himalayas and spend my life there. Or I don't know what I was thinking, but I ended up in Himalayas. And that's where I met Sridharan. He was giving a lecture in the evening, and I could hear some people are listening to him very, very intently. I walked into the room, sat there, and really liked what he was saying. And then after the class, I met him. I took him, he took me for dinner. And then over the meal, he spent, I think, about an hour or two with me. Something changed in my life after that. The next morning, we were on the walk, we were on the yoga sessions. Then we go to his class, we have lunch, then we take a little break, and then evening walk, evening yoga, and his class. He walked me through each of the problem uh, that my mind was going through those days. He could identify what is the diet my mind needed. So long story short, I come back from Himalayas in about 10 days back in action. Uh, Everybody in my company noticed a huge difference. I am more pleasant. I am taking decisions in split seconds. And another long story short, from bankruptcy, we have created a 2,000 plus people company, and we've reached out to more than 25 countries. And I can't imagine my life without that meeting, by chance meeting with Sridharan in Himalayas. I'm so glad to have him here, ladies and gentlemen. Is what he preaches is uh, not about God or spiritualism. He preaches how to provide diet for your mind. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm so glad to have him here. Saurabh, can we have Sridharan ji live, please?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Thank you, Sridharan Garu, for uh, you know um, sparing your time. I know you have been traveling around the Gulf region, preaching, teaching people, uh, and we really appreciate you to have you here. Ladies and gentlemen, now the Sridhar will leave and Sridharan will stay. Thank you very much, uh, Sridharan. Over to you.
Thank you. And let me tell you, this is the best introduction I ever had. I've never had a better introduction and about me till now. It's been 20 years. And thank you, Mr. Sridhar Reddy. He's more like a family for us. And I always wish and pray for his well being, peace, and prosperity. So thank you for the opportunity. The diet for the mind. That's the focus today. Then we'll start with why the mind needs to be on diet. Then, what is the mind and what is the intellect? Then we'll proceed to three types of action which we perform, and what are the three conditions of the mind we go through. And finally, I'll give you the diet plan for the mind. So, friends, brace yourself. It's going to be a not a learning session. It's a, I wouldn't say learning curve. It's a creative curve for you. Creative curve. So why the mind needs to be on a diet? We all understand the importance of physical fitness and the need for a diet for the physical body. And what is a diet? It's a plan and a program you have so that you hit the optimum potential of your physical body. That's the a diet for the physical body. Now, much more in the present scenario, we understand the need for mental fitness. In fact, everyone talks about mental fitness these days, especially after the COVID, the pandemic, the I would say the drop in the economy, possible job losses, or the death scenario, or the relationship issues which is happening, much more the need for mental fitness. And let me tell you, we are, or most of us are working on mental fitness, but what we work on is a minuscule aspect of mental fitness, which is what I call as intelligence. We gain intelligence, which is through the books, universities, schools, you learn about a subject with which you become proficient, whereby you get into a job or a profession or a business, and you improve the standard of living. That's what I'm saying. We are working on ourselves, but a small aspect of it. The the what is the Thai group or this conference? I mean, you're all intelligent people, you're all successful, or you want to be progressive in your field of activity, therefore you are where you are. But has it really helped us? Has it helped us to deal with the pandemic, or either has it helped us to deal with the relationship issues? If you're facing any kind of issues, then you need a diet plan for the mind. That's why therefore that's the important aspect here. So what's happening? Intelligence is wonderful, friends, but along with intelligence, you're using the mind plus the intelligence. Mind plus intelligence would create what I call as ego. It's a small word, but it has a phenomenal impact in our life. Ego is defined as the need and necessity to prove yourself better than anyone else. The expansion for the word ego, anyone taking notes, I would suggest this. Ego is exaggerated glorification of oneself. That's ego. With mind and intelligence predominantly, there is every possibility you will become egoistic. And with ego comes all the issues in life. That's why I'm suggesting. So, and there was a study done. They said 90% of people who quit jobs, they say they don't quit jobs, they quit people. People quit people when they get their ego involved with another person. So that is why I said intelligence is important, but that alone is not necessary. That alone is not enough. You need a strong intellect. A diet plan of the mind requires a strong intellect. The great Swami Vivekananda, one of the most profound Hindu monks the world has seen. He made a simple but a very pertinent statement. He said, "Conquer your mind, you'll conquer the world. Fall a prey to your mind, you become a victim of the world." I repeat, conquer your mind, you'll conquer the world. Fall a prey to your mind, you become a victim of the world. So that's why I said, therefore, to conquer your mind needs to be on a diet. And there is no such diet plan in the world for the mind. You want a diet plan for your body, there are various ways for the physical body. Diet plan for the mind, it takes, I don't know where you can find it. I wish we can Google it, but I'm glad you can't find it on the Google. I'm glad you're on this auditorium, and I will explain to you this entire need for the diet plan for the mind. Now, we will start with the second aspect of the master class is what is the mind and intellect? Mind is where your emotions arise, your feelings arise, your impulses arise. Saurabh, if you can put on the slide, the mind and intellect. Mind is where, I repeat, mind and intellect both are thoughts. An indiscriminate flow of thoughts is the mind. A discriminate flow of thoughts is your intellect. Mind, and as I mentioned, the mind, it produces impulses. Somebody tells you something, and you have an impulse. And when I say impulse, it is. I think you can see the screen. Am I right? You're all able to see the screen, the mind and intellect. It's coming up. Okay, it's coming up. So Sora will be able to put it across. Mind. I'm just repeating it. Mind is where your now it's coming up. So the mind is where your impulses arise, your emotions, your feelings, your likes and dislikes. Now you have it on the screen. The various feelings and emotions like kindness, compassion, gratitude, love, or anger, jealousy, obsession, all these feelings, emotions arise from the mind. Impulses. Impulses, you may go for a dinner get together and you meet a friend and she says, "Hey, what happened? You put on weight?" One, what that impulse you receive, it arises from the mind. You get angry. Likes and dislikes. You like to sleep late. You dislike to wake up early. You like junk food. You dislike what they call as healthy juices. Mind. Intellect is the faculty of thinking, reasoning, logic, analysis, decision making. So this is the mind and intellect. All of us have the mind and intellect. The entire diet plan for the mind is using your intellect. As a result, you are able to handle your mind in a better way. So now you can take off the slide, sort of. So these are the three. These are the mind and intellect. Next is there are three kinds of action which we perform. All of us, from morning till night, from birth till death, we are performing action. An action could arise from the mind. In Sanskrit, we call it manas. Intellect is buddhi. The body is called sharira. So there are three kinds of actions we perform. One action can arise from the mind. Example, your friend wants to buy a mobile and she says, "Hey, let's go to this store. Latest mobiles are there. Let's go have a look. You go with your friend to the mobile store, and then both of you are looking at the various models. And what happens is you end up buying the mobile, not your friend. And the friend says, I'll wait for the next model to come. But you end up buying a mobile. You already have a mobile, but I'm just giving an example. And in you like to have the latest version of an Apple or Samsung. He says, even though the changes could be or improvements could be minuscule, you will buy it. It could be an impulsive choice. The first kind of a choice we make could be from the mind. You already have a mobile, but you end up buying another one because you like that model. So it is an action could arise from the mind. Second kind of an action is arising from the intellect. Example, right? The Christmas season is approaching or is already there, and you go to a friend's place and they say, hey, why don't you try this? The cakes are there. We are making cakes every day. Why don't you try this cheesecake? You're a diabetic person. Your mind craves or likes that cake, the cheesecake, but your intellect, your buddhi says, I can't have it anymore. Any more of sweets would affect my health. So you follow your intellect, which is not to consume the cake. This is the second kind of action. And the third kind of action is where your mind likes it and the intellect supports it. Like this master class. That's what I wish all of you, your mind likes to listen to profound thoughts. And the intellect says, hey, this is essential for my self-development. A choice which is a result of mind and the intellect. Therefore, you are attending the lecture, you may take notes, you are very attentive. That's why I'm saying all our life, from morning till night, from birth till death, we perform actions. An action could arise from your mind, like just like that you buy a mobile phone or that costume. Or an action could arise from the intellect, like a diabetic person says no to the cakes. Or an action could arise from as a combination of mind and intellect, like attending the master class. All that I'm saying is you are better off if your choices, your actions arise either from the intellect or a combination of mind and intellect. If your choices, actions arise only from the mind, it could be detrimental. Now, the Vedas beautifully gives us an analogy. They say the mind is like a flow of water in a river, and the intellect is the banks supporting the river. I repeat, the mind is like a flow of water flow of water in a river, and the intellect is the banks supporting the river. And what the Veda says, if the banks of the river are strong, the water can be used on either sides. It is a blessing. It's benevolence. If the banks of the river are weak, what happens? The water overflows. It inundates the field. What was a blessing becomes a curse, friends. That's what I want to tell you. When the mind is powerful and the intellect is weak, that's when you become a victim of any kind of an addiction or depression, any kind of an emotional inadequacies you go through is because your mind is way too strong and your intellect, your buddhi is not strong enough to control the mind, to supervise the mind. That's why we're going to show the next slide that the different, the quality of choices, the eccentric. See, you see in the graph, you see the 0 to 100. It is when you're let's see, uh, 0 to 100. If you see OEF, it is insane. Entire thing is 100%. I mean, only the mind. And if the choices or the discrimination is 25% and the mind is 75%, you could be hysterical. You don't know how you function. 100% mind is insane. 75% mind is hysterical. 50% of your mind means you're eccentric. You can have terrible behaviors, and then 25% of your mind and 75%, of your intellect, it could be emotional, and 100% of intellect. I would say a combination of mind and intellect. You are a sane person. This is a Shakespeare puts across. No? All the world will stand up and say, "Here is a man." Just to be a human being, it takes a lot of effort, friends. We could be in that zone of 100% mind, which is the state of insanity. 75% is hysterical. 50% mind is eccentric. 25% itself is emotional. 100% where it's a combination of mind and intellect is where you are better off, or you are a sane person, meaning it could be pandemic, it could be fluctuations in economy. You still are able, you have the clarity with which you make the decisions, your choices. Now, you can take off the slide, sort of. So that's why I'm saying this is how important your mind and intellect are. They say another analogy the scriptures give us. They say the mind is like a knife in a kitchen. It is if a person says if he has murdered two people and he says, why did you do it? In my place I have a dozen knives, I hardly use it. I tried it on this person, it was really smooth. You can't blame the knife, friends. You can't blame the knife. Similarly, you can't blame the mind. Mind is the most wonderful equipment, which is nothing but the nature's gift to us. Is how well you use the mind. And I'm giving you various analogies so that you will understand in a better way. The mind is equated to a child, intellect with adult. What happens to your beautiful apartment if it's left to a 3-year-old child and you're on a holiday? When you come back, it's a mess. Similarly, your life must be handled by the intellect and the combination of mind and intellect rather than the mind alone. Rather than the mind alone. That's why in the words of Vivekananda, conquer your mind, you'll conquer the world. Fall a prey to your mind, you become a victim of the world. That's right. So watch out, friends. Mind is beautiful. It's how well you use it. How well you use the mind that matters in our life. Now, the next aspect I'm going to share with you is the three conditions of the mind. Each one of us, we go through three conditions of the mind. Saurabh, you can share that slide, the three conditions of the mind. The first condition of the mind is what I call as a restless mind. You can see that, a restless mind. Imagine there is a cone. I place it on its tip. I'm placing the cone on its tip. It can never remain static. It will fall down. Similarly, friends, a person whose mind is very self-centered, a person who's selfish, self-centered, by design, they want the world to cater to them all the time. A selfish person needs the world to cater to them all the time. So it is, let me tell you, the world we are living in is not designed for one person. Therefore, we will be restless, agitated most of the time, like a cone which can never remain on its tip. It will fall down. A restless mind is that they can get agitated for anything. Now, they may be there in the master class now. They say, I mean, the screen is too small. I need a bigger screen. The screen is there, but the air conditioner is not good enough. The air conditioner screen is there, but a person who's sitting next to them, they're shaking their legs. Something or the other keeps agitating, frustrating them. A restless mind, which belongs to a selfish person. The second condition of the mind is called, on the right hand side, you see an imperfect mind. Imagine I place the cone on one of its side on the table. It remains static. It is there. But when I tap the cone, it starts oscillating. The oscillations continue for a while and then it comes to a standstill. Similarly, friends, an imperfect mind, many people fall under this category, an imperfect mind. And it belongs to an unselfish person. An unselfish person is one who can accommodate others' interest, but one negative incident, one experience which is not in their favor will alter their peace and tranquility, will alter. And depending on that incident, the agitations continue. It may continue for a few hours or it may continue for many years. One negative experience. Example, a lady decides she's invited for a charity dinner and she decides to donate 25,000 rupees for the charity. And she takes her husband along, and she's there well dressed and all ready for the charity dinner. There is some cultural program happening at the time. One of the organizers, a distant friend, then comes and sees her and meets her, greets her, and then says, "Hey, what happened? You seem to have aged fast." Some comment, "Oh, you put on weight." And this lady gets so agitated. So she was prepared to give 25,000. And then, one comment of the organizer, she gets upset and she tells her husband, you don't need to give 25, just give 10,000, that's enough. And the husband is very, very happy. Let her meet a few more people, it will come down to 5,000. All that I'm saying is, imperfect mind. You're okay. You mean, you're generally peaceful. One incident is enough to alter your peace and tranquility. It can alter you. It can agitate you for 30 minutes, 3 hours, or 30 days, or 30 years. One negative experience. I've known many people. I'm sure in this masterclass, there could have been many people who could have got their ego involved because of one incident with a person, with their near and dear, and now they're not talking to each other for maybe 3 years, maybe some people 10 years. One negative experience, you get your ego involved, and it alters your peace and tranquility. Imperfect mind. You've got to be watchful, friend. And the last condition, see, both the restless mind and the imperfect mind, they both need to go on a diet. The diet plan is essential for both selfish and unselfish. You need the diet plan, otherwise you could be in trouble. The last condition, I would say, the perfect mind is one which has gone through the diet plan and is now perfect, meaning they go through the life experiences, they have maximum pleasure and joy and tranquility. See, Alrinda, you may say, how is it possible? I'll give you the story. It happened in the life of Buddha. One of the days, Lord Buddha, after his session, was going back to his kuti, to his place, and he was going along with his students, disciples. Halfway through, a stranger stopped Lord Buddha and started insulting him, abusing him. To which Lord Buddha was quiet, calm, patiently listening. And then the stranger left, and then Lord Buddha was walking back to his place. Every day in his ashram, there used to be an interaction with the master. So at the time, his disciples can ask questions, clarifications. And one of his disciples raised his hand and said, "Sir, I have a question." He said, "Yes, what's the question?" "Do you remember this afternoon a stranger insulted you?" To which Lord Buddha, "Which stranger? Who are you talking about?" He couldn't even recollect. Then the student gave the entire scenario. He said, "Master, after the lecture, we are going back to our place. There was a stretch of agricultural fields. One of them was working there. The moment he saw you, he came up to you and started insulting you. Do you remember?" He said, "Yes, now, yes, I remember." "What about that?" asked Lord Buddha. He said, "Master, when he was insulting you, you should have countered his argument. You should have, you should have pulverized him, but you kept quiet. Why were you quiet when he was insulting you?" To which Lord Buddha told his student, he said, "It was his privilege to give his opinion and my privilege to accept it or not." He said it was his privilege to give, my privilege to take. He gave me many, many things. I said, "No, thank you. You can keep it." Perfect mind, friends. When such a mind has this attitude, is that so? Is that so? If when somebody praises you, within yourself, you're not telling outside, is that so? Somebody denounces you. When there is fulfillment within, contentment within, there will be a perfect mind. Is that so? You will continue with your life in a glorious way. That's why, the first two, the restless and an imperfect mind needs to go on a diet. A perfect mind is one which is experiencing this tranquility, self-sufficiency, because it had gone on a diet plan. I would like to share the words of John Milton. Saurabh, you can share that slide. Beautiful quotation. The mind in its own place can make a hell out of a heaven or a heaven out of a hell. It's all in the mind. The mind in its own place can make a heaven of a hell or a hell of a heaven. Therefore, friends, heaven or hell is not geographical locations, but a state of mind. If you make your thoughts and emotions pure, I'm telling you, it's a heaven on earth. And many of us, we look at, I would say, most of our life, 70% is going right and the 30% is not going right. Most of us focus on the 30%, which is not right. As a result, the 70%, which is good, you don't have an access to it. The 30 becomes 40 and 40 becomes 50. Now you are messed up your life. Thank you. Thank you, sir. So,
ఒక 10 నిమిషాలు ఈ సెషన్ శ్రీధర్ ఉంది నడుస్తుంది.
Mr. Sridharan, you're on mute. Mr. Sridharan, you're still on mute. Mute, sir.
Sir, you got on a mute. Yeah. Can you unmute yourself?
yeah, how long have you been on mute?
Maybe like 20, 30 seconds.
30 seconds, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll just put you live back again. Yeah.
Am I live now?
Yes. Yes, you are, sir.
Yeah, okay. Friends, the diet plan for the mind, the important aspect of this master class. Let me listen to it carefully. It will change your life. I guarantee. When I say change your life, applying it, it will change your life. Number one, express gratitude, but do not expect gratitude. A simple statement, but a very profound transformational state in your life. Gratitude, express gratitude. See, everyone says you got to be grateful, but how would you become grateful? There are two aspects to becoming grateful. Number one, you got to be aware of so much you've been provided from the time you've been born till the time you're there. That awareness of all that you've been receiving, plus your inability to repay that benevolence. Your inability to repay that benevolence makes you grateful. Mere thought of that awareness of all that you get, you may be there. But the second is the clincher. Your inability to repay that benevolence makes you grateful. Therefore, friends, express gratitude, but do not expect gratitude. I mean, it's not a downer. If you expect gratitude, you could be in trouble. Because, how can these people be this way? No, that is how people are. That is how people are. Express your gratitude to one and all. My gratitude to Sridhar Reddy. To all of you, to make this happen. My wife was mentioning the beautiful arrangements, the auditorium setup, or all that was fabulous. I mean, how can I'm aware of it. I'm the second aspect, inability to repay that benevolence. Therefore, that's why I say I'm grateful. I still remember in Control S, there was a huge gratitude wall where so many people expressed it. So express your gratitude, but do not expect gratitude. Number two, receive gracefully and give joyfully. Whatever you're receiving, receive gracefully receive. And then whatever you have to give joyfully. Don't give grudgingly. Give joyfully and receive gracefully. Could be a salary, could be a gift, could be the day when you wake up in the morning. How do you address? Now, all those who attend my lectures regularly, there is this mantra. When you wake up in the morning, first thought is pranams to Mata, Pita, Guru, Devam. Gratitude to Mother, Father, my Master, and the Almighty. I'm telling you, it's beautiful. Then you'll receive gracefully and give joyfully. Third, be slow to judge and quick to forgive. We are the other way around. We are quick to judge and impossible to forgive. Be slow to judge and quick to forgive. Judgments either highlights more about you than the other person. Your judgment of the other is more a reflection of the quality of your thoughts than the character of the person. Be slow to judge and quick to forgive. I'm telling you, if only you get into the state of forgiveness, it is those who have gratitude and love, they experience forgiveness. Forgiveness, they say, is to set the prisoner free and to finally understand the prisoner was none other than yourself. Forgiveness is setting yourself free. The great Mark Twain gave a beautiful definition of forgiveness. He said, forgiveness is a fragrance a violet releases as the foot crushes it. You could be crushed, but what you release is forgiveness. Next, the diet plan is be dependable and not dependent. Dependable is a leadership quality, friends. You become dependable when you give your 120% every time you take up a responsibility. It is why even in sports they say he's a very dependable player, because if he is there, he or she gives their 120% every time they perform. Be dependable and not dependent. Dependent is you want your happiness is so much clubbed with other aspects, with your spouse, with your work, with your salary, with your promotion, with the COVID vaccine, so much. I mean, be dependable and not dependent. If you are dependent, you will fluctuate. You are in the state of restlessness. You've got to be cautious. Next, in the diet plan, what you expect from others, first you expect from yourself. If you want your colleagues to be productive, if you want your products to be of a certain caliber, if you want your team to perform in a certain way, first you expect, let that come from you. In the words of Gandhi, he said, be the change you wish to see in the world. You must be the change you wish to see in the world. What you expect from others, first expect from yourself. Then, in the diet plan, be expressive with your love and demonstrative of your happiness. I'm telling you, when you express your love and gratitude for one another, expressive of your love and demonstrative of your happiness, let me tell you, I'm so happy meeting all of you virtually. Even though very few cameras are on, I'm saying I'm so happy meeting all of you. You have no idea what happiness I derive. It is demonstrative of your happiness. You have a meal, demonstrate that. I mean, you're happy with the meal, tell them it was a wonderful meal, or you had to enjoy the day. I had a great day. Be expressive with your love and demonstrative of your happiness. Many of us are demonstrative of our unhappiness and expressive of our emotions, negative emotions. Whenever you have an anger, do you spare your anger? There's a saying, speak when you're angry. You'll make the greatest speech you'll ever regret. Speak when you're angry. You'll make the greatest speech you'll ever regret. That's why the other way around. The diet plan is be expressive with your love and demonstrative of your happiness. You have no idea what it does to the mental framework of yours. Next, in the diet plan, trust. Even if your trust is broken, trust again. I am not suggesting trust the untrustworthy people here. You have trusted. They say only way to know whether you can trust a person is by trusting them. Having trusted them, now you have learned a lesson. I'm not suggesting trust the same person, but have trust in this potential of trust. As long as we're all human beings, we have a choice of action. And as long as we have a choice of action, there's a potential of greatness in each one of us. Each one of us is an infinite potential. Have trust in the human potential. That's what I'm saying. I am not suggesting trusting untrustworthy people. You burnt your finger once, be cautious. But don't lose trust. Anyone who loses trust becomes very insecure in life. That's why I'm saying. So watch out, friends. Watch out. Then bring selflessness into your life. Serve in some capacity, expecting nothing in return. I'm sure this Thai Global Summit is happening because of the selfless service of so many volunteers. That's why bring selflessness into your life, serving in some capacity, expecting nothing in return. It fulfills your soul, friends. Next, in the diet plan, have faith in divinity. Have one connect which is beyond your judgment. It's a very important aspect of the diet plan. There must be at least one connect which is beyond our judgment. If everyone whom you interact comes under the purview of your judgment, it could be difficult. Have faith in divinity. Things are happening in the right way. You may not understand it now, but on a later stage in life, you'll understand that incident which happened was perfectly placed. Next, be a multi-role wonder. Bring balance into your life. Be a multi-role wonder by bringing balance into your life. World has seen enough one-role wonders, friends. With the right diet plan in life, you will be a multi-role wonder. You are a fabulous entrepreneur, a successful businessman. You are a loving spouse, an adorable parent, a responsible citizen, a wonderful friend. All that I'm saying is we can all be that way. So let's be a multi-role wonder. I would like to conclude the diet plan with the words of the Vedas. They say, the Vedas highlight, when I came into this world, as I cried, the world rejoiced. The Vedas highlight, when I came into this world, as I cried, the world rejoiced. It goes on to say, it says, when I leave this world, let the world cry while I rejoice. I repeat, when I came into this world, as I cried, the world rejoiced. When I leave this world, let the world cry while I rejoice. The satisfaction, that fulfillment, that contentment of having done what I have to be done. When in case that eventual date happens, you almost take a salute. It was a fabulous life. And friends, this is a result of following the diet plan properly. And as a result, our life is different. So thank you all for that time, your presence, your attention. I value that. And if there's any questions, I'm willing to take up now. So,
Hi, Mr.
Yes,
Sridharan.
sir.
hello.
Hello,
Hi.
Mr. Dharan.
Hi.
What a fantastic
Um,
exercise.
Thank you. Thank you.
Truly enlightening, I have to say. I mean, it's something that we always try and achieve, but we are not able to, especially when I heard you talking about bringing balance in your life. I think we know the importance of bringing balance to life, but we're somehow never, ever able to achieve it. So if you could just elaborate, and I wanted to get more understanding on this, that how exactly to do it. I mean, we plan in our minds.
See, the thing is, Ms. Mittal, we all have different roles in life. The problem is that we're not able to bring in the balance because you're not able to switch off from one role and switch on to another role. This is where you're carrying the mind, your mind in all other roles. When you have the diet plan, when your intellect is strong enough, you could be in your profession, you could be a model or an entrepreneur. At work, you're doing that. When you go back home, either you're a daughter or a spouse or a sister, you are able to switch off that role and switch on to another role. I learned it from my father. My father used to manage at least 2,000 people. And when he comes back, I've never seen him stressed out in life. And he used to tell me, that's work, but at home, I'm a father and a husband. I value this more. So the potential to switch off from the role you played before. Says, when I leave work, I shut off the role of an entrepreneur. When I get home, I am a father and a husband. And I'm telling you, this is a skill we have to learn. It is not something which is inherent in us. So it's not easy, but it's not impossible. But it's like how a person is in perfect health. Every day they work on it. See, I don't know if you have seen in certain, especially in the houses in smaller towns in India, palatial houses, but their door will be a small door. You got to bend and go. And I used to wonder why can't they have a better carpenter and build a bigger door? It's a reminder, when you go home, you bend your ego. You could be a very successful entrepreneur. When you go home, you bend. It's a reminder. Otherwise, if you walk straight, you knock on the door. You bend your ego and go. So, this is one. Number two, because it's a very important question, the value associated to those roles. If you take certain roles for granted, I've known some of these so-called successful entrepreneurs who say, I'm giving, they tell their children or the wife, I'm giving them a great education. I take them to international holidays twice a year, and they have the best of facilities. You take it for granted. What is the priority you associate with each role? If you associate the role of a spouse, a role of a parent, then you will allot enough and more time. Let me tell you a small aspect in this. You get a second chance in everything, friends. It could be in your marriage, in your relationships, any other aspect. You do not get a second chance in parenting. If you're missed out on the first 8-9 years of the parenting, you had it. Anything else, you get a second chance. You may have 3 failed relationships, 4th one may work. It's okay. You can't have 3 failed children and then the 4th children may work. None. More child may work. So the priority associate with every role. You associate priority to your physical health, therefore you spend time and effort. You associate your salary comes from the work you do. You associate priority, therefore you spend time and effort. I think other roles also enough and more. They may not understand it now. At a later stage, let me tell you, the last stage of your life, you're answerable to one person who's standing in the mirror. You're standing in the mirror. To that person, you are answerable. To yourself. They say one of the worst regret to have in life is, I wish I allowed myself to be more happier. The worst regret. And I'm telling you, at that time, nobody can help you. I wish I allowed myself to be more happier. When you reflect on it, my God, the amount of wonderful experiences I've been, and I didn't allow myself to be happier. Unnecessarily, one argument I had with my partner, and the whole holiday is gone. I wish I allowed myself to be happier. All this comes in with the diet plan. Number one, it is a switch off from one role to another role. For that, you need to have the right priority and the value associated. So if all this is there, it is slightly difficult, but it's not impossible, and it has to be done. I'm telling you, it's beautiful. It will be beautiful life. I hope you're okay, Ms. Mittal.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Sir, as you mentioned, we really want to be happy. I'm sorry, guys, I'm taking a bit of a time here. We really want to be happy. And if we try, sometimes when I meditate, I'm just talking about my personal experience here, when I'm kind of agitated, I try and meditate and I go in a different mode altogether. I'm peaceful. Right. All of a sudden, when you come back to reality, you're agitated again. So that balancing your mind with happiness should be there all the time, which I am not able to achieve. I'm sure most of the entrepreneurs are able to do that, but I am really trying hard, but somehow it doesn't work for me. So
there's a great German philosopher, author Schopenhauer. He made a simple but very pertinent statement. He said, it is difficult to find happiness within oneself, but impossible to find it anywhere else. It's difficult to find happiness. He doesn't say easy. It's difficult to find happiness within oneself, but impossible to find it anywhere else. The more and more our search for happiness is external, you could be disappointed. You could be disappointed. That's all. And the more and more the search is internal, when I say internal, you work on the mind. That's a diet for the mind. As I mentioned, I don't know if you're there when the diet plan, I revealed the diet plan. Express gratitude, but do not expect gratitude. Receive gracefully and give joyfully. Be dependable and not dependent. See, when you're dependable, you are happy by yourself, and you're in a group, in a party, and you're joyful in a party. Mm-hmm. See, those who derive happiness from themselves, That's where it is. If my happiness is not dependent on others, it's like if I'm happy, provided all of you appreciate, then I may fluctuate. I'll be miserable. If That's why I always say I'm here to express myself. I'm here to express my understanding. I'm not here to impress anybody.
Yeah.
I'm here to express my understanding to the best of my ability, and I leave it. I'm not here to impress. If I'm here to impress, I'll be the most miserable person. I don't know why Rupali is not responding. I think what do you call it? The Gunjan is on her mobile. Can you
Correct.
imagine? I can't give a proper master class at all. Just giving you don't get me wrong. I mean, just using because your camera is on, I'm able to see. The more
I like the fact that you're attentive.
Yeah.
You're very attentive.
Well, Sridhar sir, you've done 7,500 events across the globe. I can understand your attention scope will be to a different level altogether. So, Rupali, yes, I
Yes,
think that's what the thing is.
I am.
therefore, just to conclude, many of our desires, we think if I fulfill the desire, I'll be happy. Most of us, when you fulfill a desire, you don't actually fulfill a desire, you upgrade a desire. It could be you all that you want to be in a relationship. Now that relationship, now you want to take it to the next level. Now another thing, it is. I mean, we are all constantly upgrading our desire, not fulfilling our desire. So you've got to be watchful. That's all I would say.
No,
So
I.
happiness is possible for sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Everyone has
If
questions because it is such a wonderful, wonderful moment to have you here with us. So come on, girls, just go ahead.
Right, Mr. Sridharan, if I may. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you well.
Okay, fantastic.
I'll give it to Jasleen after that. After Gunjan, I'll give it to Jasleen because Jasleen has been actually raising her hands
Right.
up for a very long time.
So we could give it to Jasleen if you want.
Super.
No, no,
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So much, everyone. Hello, Mr. Sridharan. I am so happy to be here at your session. And in fact, my mom is also listening to this, and all of us at home. So, talking about balancing life, as you very well explained, I've attended quite a few mind power workshops. Talk about managing different pillars of life. Say love life, say career, say spiritual, health, all of these. But
Right.
for all the entrepreneurs present here, I think it becomes very difficult because of the corporate culture that we have these days. Everyone wants you to be all theirs. If you're not thinking about the company after the work hours, they think you are not interested in growing or not concerned for the company. So because it happened with me in my personal experience, there was a firm which I was working with, and my manager, she is a very nice lady, but I think due to this cultured thinking that people have, when the time my shift ended, and I used to ask her or directly leave for home, and she got very upset, and this went on till 1 year, and then finally she asked me to leave the firm. And I had to stand by my decision because, as you said, after you come back home, you are a daughter also. You have so many other responsibilities to fulfill. Now as employees or as we as employees cannot explain it to everyone what all is going on. My mother was suffering from schizophrenia, so all that we could give them is love and time. So
Correct.
how do we balance that? How do we explain it to?
The balance that you're not here to impress your bosses. That's why, if that's the scenario, sack your boss, find a new boss.
I did that.
That's what I would do. There's no point.
I wish it was so easy. Just
No, the thing is, when age is on your side, sack your boss. To find a new boss, and whereby, see, eventually, otherwise, you'll be compromising. You'll be compromising. You leave the work, in a week's time, you'll be replaced. Okay? In a week's time, you'll be replaced. But your role at home as a daughter or as a sister is irreplaceable. So you are there 8 hours, 10 hours at work, give your 120%. But if they expect you to do beyond that, I mean, sack your boss. Find a new boss. Okay?
So much for affirming my decision. I am happy about it today.
Yes.
All right, so we'll go to Gunjan now. Gunjan has
Gunjan.
Yeah, thank you, Rupali. Fantastic session, sir. I heard that you spoke something about life giving you chances, and I feel like that's something that's a concept that I toy around with a lot. I'm somebody who's just made like it's a factory problem that the setting was wrong. That I have a hard time making choices, and I've done a lot of things in my life, right from flipping coins and while it's up in the air, knowing what's in my heart, meditating over it, talking to people, writing it, journaling it. But there are a lot of instances in life when I've figured that the weight of making a choice is sometimes so enormous um, that it conflicts with the idea of how many chances will life give you if you were to make a wrong decision. I would like to hear your
Right.
understanding on this.
I will take the help of Shakespeare. I don't know if you've read Hamlet. There's a
I
portion on
haven't.
Julius on Polonius' advice to Leartus. In the last portion, he says, "To thine own self be true. It must follow as night the day thou canst not then be false to any man." All that I'm saying is be true to yourself. In case there's a dilemma, there are two aspects. Follow your conviction, which is a strong thought. This is what you want to do. If your conviction is not strong enough, follow your conscience. That little bird in each one of us, that inner voice, every one of us has that inner voice. Something tells you, it tells your conscience tells Gunjan, go ahead and do it. Or it tells, hey, don't do it. I think there's something there. You can't reason with conscience. But the only thing is, your conscience is available only when your mind is calm, not when your mind is agitated. That's why I say, any important choices, try and use the early part of the day. Whatever time you wake up. I mean, you may have to do many choices during the day at work, but very crucial, critical choices, if you have the luxury, use it in the early part of the day. When your mind is calm, your conviction is there, intellect. The intellect is what says this is the right path to do. A confluence of mind and intellect. Or in areas where you can't, there's a confusion, follow your conscience. That inner voice. Each one of us have it. If that also is difficult, I would suggest a third aspect. Take the guidance of a wise person. According to you may have some a master or a guru or your parent whom you have trust and faith. And you say, that is why now I always say you should have one connect beyond your judgment. One connect. The best thing is to have that conviction. I am not talking about rigidity here. You have seen the pros and cons, weighed it carefully, and then that is conviction. If that is not strong enough, your conscience, something tells you, hey, be cautious. Don't jump into it. Or something tells you, when I took up to this path 25 years ago, something told me this is what I wanted to do. I didn't know how to explain to others. I don't know how to explain, but it was an inner calling. And if you read Matthew Arnold, he says, for fearless virtue bringeth boundless gain. For fearless virtue bringeth boundless gain. Fortunately, you followed it. I don't know how to answer, but that was my inner calling.
Yeah.
And it took 10, 15 years of being in this field 24/7. My day used to start at 4 a.m., goes till 9 p.m., 7 days a week, 365 days a year for 7 years. No weekends, no vacations, no mobile phones for 7 years. So anyway, that's a different story altogether. But number one, conviction, a strong thought from the intellect. Number two, conscience, your inner voice. Number three, guidance of a wise counsel. If you follow these three, you will not, it will be easier. The problem is when ego a person has, their choice could be wrong, but they will follow that. They will not listen to their inner voice. And they could have a wise counsel. They will say, please be cautious, don't get into it. No, look here, I can handle it. I know. So that's the problem. Therefore, let me tell you, choices makes your life. Many times one wrong choice, you could go spiraling down. And many times one good choice will literally lift you up. Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, Uddharet Atmanatmana. You have to raise yourself by yourself. You are your greatest friend and your worst enemy. You could be, he says, you could be your greatest friend or your worst enemy. You are your greatest friend when the conviction is strong, or you're pursuing your conscience, or the intuition, they say, conscience, or a wise counsel. You are your worst enemy when the ego stands up. In the ego, you become a victim of ego. I always say ego, E-G-O, exaggerated glorification of oneself. Exaggerated glorification of oneself. And when you become a victim of ego, you're in trouble, enormous trouble. I mean, so watch out. It's not easy, but they say life is a skill, an art, a technique. You want to learn and practice it. All that we do in my sessions is giving those various techniques whereby eventually it makes you self-sufficient. Eventually. So think about it. You're okay, Gunjan?
Fantastic.
Talking about ego, can I ask? So sometimes something that we think is self-respect moves a notch higher and
Right.
turns out to be ego. And sometimes we don't want to be misunderstood as having ego, and we tend on to lose self-respect. So what is that slight difference?
The ego manifests as self-esteem, not self-esteem and self-respect. I'm sorry, self-respect and self-esteem is right. Self-importance is ego. Self-importance is ego. Self-esteem and self-respect, you have to live up to your self-esteem and self-respect. If your self-respect and self-esteem is tested, is put on, is affected, you got to live up to your self-esteem. You got to live up to your self-respect. I would never say that self-importance is my way or the highway. It is that's ego, and that doesn't work. See, it is certain values. In my lectures, we have this punctuality. 6:30 p.m. means it starts at 6:30 p.m. No two ways around it. It is. I mean, I'm not being. See, it's a respect. It's a self-respect. I respect those who are on time. I mean, it is. I'm not a stickler for punctuality, but those who are on time, I understand that's the value they associate. Those who are, there are times when fellow joins 5 minutes before the lecture. That's the value they associate. So self-respect and self-esteem molds your character. Self-important destroys your character. Destroys your character. You're okay, Justine?
Akriti has.
Yes, Akriti.
Sir, I have a question since
Yes.
Firstly, thank you so much for the words of wisdom. I mean, it is opening up our mind, like sections of our brains are now sparkling.
I'm glad.
So, my question is something related to my personal experience.
Okay.
So since my childhood, I feel there are duties that I have to do, there are responsibilities that I have to fulfill. So I started working at the age of 12, and since then I'm doing things constantly, making decisions, taking, as you said, making choices and figuring out my path. Like me, there are 8 billion other people on the planet. Everybody is doing their own thing and making their own life. But there is somewhere a question which always bothers me. What is the real purpose of me being alive? What is the real purpose of me living this life that I am living? So if you can.
Right. Question is small, but the answer is has to be elaborate. The purpose of our existence.
Question though, it's a very nice question.
It's a great question, and I appreciate all of you have some wonderful questions. Let me tell you, questions give a direction to your thinking. The right questions give a direction. There was this Nobel Prize winner of physics. In his speech he mentioned, in his speech he mentioned that his mother always used to ask him when he comes back from school. The mother asked him, the mother never asked him, "What did you learn today?" The mother always asked him, "Did you ask a good question today?" The mother always, he said, "My mother always asked me that way. And as a result, I got into this habit of," see, you're not questioning others, you're questioning to learn.
Yeah.
You're questioning to learn. And so, coming to your question of the purpose of existence. The goal of every goal everyone is pursuing is uninterrupted happiness, unbroken bliss. You do various things, could be your work, your relationships, or for what? You want to be happy eventually. Eventually, you want to be happy. It is that's why I'm saying. So, what happens? We think when you're fulfilling a desire, you're going to be happy. That's the problem. We entertain a desire. See what happens when you entertain a desire or fulfill a desire, the agitations you had in fulfilling the desire subsides. It could be, I don't know, you want to buy a new ornament. You've seen it online or gone to the showroom, everything. There's so much of thoughts or the associated with buying the ornament. Now you bought the ornament, the desire is fulfilled, it subsides. You may use it once or twice in a year. What happens? You again pursue another desire. This is what is happening.
Yeah.
I always have this notion. It is what if you can answer this question to yourself: what you want now is not what you really want. If you say, if Akriti says, "This is what I want this project to happen," and if it goes in there, that's what okay, that project is granted. Then another pandemic comes in. No. I want the project to happen, but there should not be a second pandemic. It is all that they say. What you want now is not what you really want. So find out what you really want. And if you find out what you really want, you will understand that I am looking for uninterrupted happiness, unbroken bliss.
True.
That's what you're looking at. Through various roles, through various desires, nothing wrong. Go ahead and do it. But understand happiness is an internal phenomenon. It is through external pursuits you try and fulfill something internal. These masters highlighted the purpose of existence is for us to merge with the divinity. That's or to gain or become one with our source, which is the God principle. They say it is. That's why we all have the physical body, mind, and intellect, plus the divinity. Each one of us is a combination of spirit and matter. You use the matter equipment, which is your body, mind, and intellect, to become one with the spirit, which is the divinity in us. That is the purpose of our existence. That's the reason in the yogic culture, you have this jnana mudra. You must have seen a lot of people in meditation. Correct. The way Rupali says, the 3 fingers. Correct. That's how. 3 fingers represents body, mind, intellect. And the fourth finger is your ego. Rupali, you can't talk to me that way. Okay? You can't. Nobody he says when your ego is sticky, you will not say, don't talk to me, you don't use this finger and all. No, Mittal, that's not the way you deal with me. All the time, that's the ego. This is the ego. And this is divinity, the thumb. They say, without the thumb, these 4 fingers are useless. So entire purpose of existence is to use the body, mind, intellect, sharira, manas, buddhi, to deal with the ego, the ahankar, as there is a ahankar bends and connects with divinity. This is the purpose of existence. It was all alag. Now it's a circle, it's infinity. It's infinity. That's the purpose of existence. If through every experience, you're able to diminish a certain aspect of your ego. I'm saying self-importance, not self-esteem, not self-respect. We are able to diminish a certain sense of self-importance and ego. And slowly, you are getting nearer to divinity. The signs are, there'll be a sense of wonderment. You've lost that sense of wonderment. You go to a beautiful garden. Do you wonder at the nature? I don't know if you've been to Lake District in England. And William Wordsworth lived there, a great poet. He was going for a walk and he saw in the garden where it says a host of golden daffodils. He writes a poem out of it, a wonderment. You see a butterfly. Sometimes I see a butterfly and a wonderment. What design? What intricate design a butterfly has. Can you imagine each one of us? What a unique design. I'm telling you, that sense of wonderment a child has. A child has a sense of wonderment. But somewhere down the line, because of our wrong thought association in the world, they've lost that sense of wonderment. The more you are getting closer and closer there when there's a sense of wonderment. Almost like, you could be, I was in Mauritius for a year. I remember next to the beach, lie down and a twinkle, twinkle, little star. How I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. I remember for a week, just there, nobody in my presence, enjoyed that sense of wonderment. The purpose of existence is to unite with the divinity. That's why it's called yoga. Yoga is derived from the Sanskrit root yuj, means to unite, to join. Religion is derived from two Latin words, re-legare, which also means to unite, to join. A meaning, as the suggestion is, we are separated from our divinity. To unite with our divinity is called yoga in Sanskrit, religion in English. So that's the purpose of our existence. By fulfilling all your roles properly, there is a certain sense of a transcendence you'll experience, or contentment. Let me tell you, forget the ultimate purpose, contentment. I wish all of you genuinely experience contentment in life. Friends, contentment is a result of three factors. When there is gratitude to the past, acceptance in the present, and aspiration for a future, you're living a contented life. There is gratitude. When it comes, contentment is thank you. It refers to the past, present, and future. When it comes to the future, comes to the past, you process with gratitude. When it comes to the present, there's absolute powerful acceptance. When it comes to the future, there is a beautiful aspiration. We want to impact 1 billion lives. When it comes to the present, absolute powerful acceptance. When it comes to the past, I process with gratitude. When I share that, it looks very simple, but it was a result of years and years of study and research. I genuinely wish all of you experience contentment in life. When you open your eyes, we all live in one world. Close your eyes. Each one's world is different. And that world, if that world is one of contentment, I'm telling you, you're a blessed soul. And your presence will lend calm to everyone else who's around you. And all that I'm saying is, we are all capable of that.
Just listening to you, we're already kind of rejuvenated and already at peace, and you can actually feel the contentment. Can't we just go on and on with this session? I wish we could.
Session, and of course, let's give him a break. He's been talking for a very long time. Okay. And then we have Ms. Das also. I think she's come to probably address Gurudev ji, so if you can do the same.
Can I take a second before that? Sorry.
I know we still have so many questions, but I'm not going to ask Akriti. Go on.
Guys, we will have to stop it right here.
It's up to Vishwani. I'm here. It's up to them. Up to you guys.
I'm not asking anything else, but I want to thank you so much for giving this answer, because now I will make finding contentment the purpose of my life. Thank you so much.
Excellent. I'm happy, very happy to know that.
Talking of contentment.
Okay.
Jasleen, we will have another session with sir.
We can take this session offline.
Can we? Only if Sridhar sir is ready for that.
Ms. Das, you can just take over from here.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, all the pretty ladies and Mr. Sridharan for answering to all our queries. And we really look forward to having another session somewhere soon where we all can attend. And and thank you for the audience. Please stay in the auditorium for the next event. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.